In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a self-hosted n8n instance on DigitalOcean. There are a lot of ways that you can self-host n8n. You can either do it on your local computer using localhost. You could do it on Docker using your own computer. And if you want something web-based, there's Hostinger and there's DigitalOcean as well. DigitalOcean offers professional-grade architecture. It scales up very well when you need to. And the base plan is very affordable, especially if you're just getting started. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and see how we can set up n8n on DigitalOcean. So I've already logged in to digitalocean.com. I made an account. And I've also added a payment method because you'll need to do that in order to create your first droplet. Now, a droplet is like a container on DigitalOcean. It's like a digital container in which we will install our n8n instance. And then we're going to point that container to a domain name that we own. And I'm also going to try to get this done in as little time as possible. So let's aim to get this complete in under 15 to 20 minutes. So now that I'm in DigitalOcean, I'm going to go click create and then create a droplet. Choose the region that is closest to you. So I'm setting this up for a European client. I'm going to choose Frankfurt. Leave the data center to whatever that defaults to. And for the image, you want to go into the marketplace. And then we will search for Docker. So click on Docker. Okay, leave this all at the default. Go down. Basic is fine. Choose regular for the CPU is also fine. And if you're just starting out, just stick with the base plan, which is $6 a month. Right now that all of that is done, you can either choose an SSH authentication or a password authentication. If you're unfamiliar with SSH, it can get a little complicated. So while a password is not the most secure, you can just use it to start out and then come back and change it later. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a password. And this is going to be for the root account. We just have to make sure that we are fulfilling all of these requirements. All right. Let's scroll down. We need one droplet. Let's give it a host name. So leave the project as the default, and let's go ahead and create our droplet. So it's just going to take a couple of seconds. And once the droplet is ready, then we can open up the terminal on our computer or even indeed through DigitalOcean itself. And then we can proceed with setting everything up. All right, perfect. So we have our droplet all ready. And we also have this IP address. And we're going to need this IP address to log into our droplet and set it up. Now that we have the droplet set up, let's go ahead and dig into the n8n documentation and see how we can actually go ahead and host n8n on DigitalOcean. So if you read the documentation, you'll see that the DigitalOcean droplet will use Caddy and Docker Compose together in order to set up n8n on your droplet. So first off, we've already done all of this. We've created the droplet, everything. So next, we need to log into our droplet and create a new user. So open up terminal. It's terminal on Mac, or it'll be the command line on your Windows PC. So let's go ahead and type SSH root, which is the username, and then go ahead and grab the IP address that we had earlier. Okay, enter. Just click yes, that's fine. And then enter the password that you had set up earlier. So I'm going to add that. And hopefully I will have logged in. So perfect. I'm now logged in, right? Next up, we need to add a new user. So I'm going to type in add user. Okay, perfect. And we also have to give it a password. Could be anything that you want. Retype the password. All right. Y. Perfect. So we've created the user. Next up, we need to grant that new user administrative privileges. And in order to do that, we need to type in this particular string. So we can just go ahead and copy, open up terminal, paste it, and then replace the username. And if you don't get any confirmation, it means that the operation was successful. Next, we can log out. And then we have to log back in using this new user. So a neat trick to do that is just hit the up arrow key. And if you hit the up arrow key, you'll open up the last command that you executed. So we don't have to grab the IP address again since we already had that, but we do need to change the user ID. And then enter the password that you just created. And now we are inside our DigitalOcean Droplet with the new user that we made. Let's scroll down and see what the next steps are. So next up, we need to clone the repository, which contains all of the code and all of the files for n8n, for this version of n8n rather. And let's go ahead and install it on our DigitalOcean Droplet. So come back here, copy, go back to terminal, paste, hit enter. So everything was successful, done. And then we need to change directory to the root of the repository you cloned, which is going to be n8n-docker-caddy. So just go ahead and type cd, which is to go into the directory n8n-docker-caddy. And then you'll see that we are inside the new directory. Next up, we need to create some volumes, which will contain all of the data. So let's go ahead and hit copy, paste, add the password again. Okay, done. Then we need to create the volume. So go ahead, copy, paste again, and you'll see that both of those have successfully been created. Now we do need to create a DNS record to point our domain to this IP address, but let's go ahead and complete everything else and then come back and do that. Now, n8n runs as a web application, so the Droplet needs to allow incoming access to traffic on port 80 for non-secure and port 443 for secure traffic. So we do need to enable these two settings. Just go ahead and click copy again, paste, and you'll see that the rules have been added. Perfect. And then we need to configure n8n. So to configure that, we're going to open a special kind of file called an env file. So let's go ahead and copy this command, nano.env, and we'll see that it has opened a file. Now here, you'll need to replace the directory path. So the directory path, if you're using DigitalOcean, is going to be home/ the folder that you would, the user / n8n-docker-caddy. And then we need to add a domain name as well. So I'm going to just use my domain for now. I'm setting this up for a client, but I'm going to change this domain later. ShabirNur.com. Change the subdomain if you need to, but otherwise it's going to be n8n.shabirnur.com. You can change the time zone to whatever, and also add a email address, because that email address is going to be used for the SSL certificate. So let's go ahead and type in the email address. Perfect. And then go ahead and hit, if you're on Mac, it's going to be Control-O, and that's going to write out or save the file. Hit enter and then exit. So that'll be Control-X, and now you're back outside. Next up, we want to take a look at the Docker Compose file. We don't need to make any changes to it right now, unless you want to go ahead and add other software like FFmpeg or something else to your Droplet. But for now, we just want to open it up and take a look. And to do that, you can go ahead and grab this command over here, nano docker-compose.yml, copy, come back to the terminal. I got logged out. I had to log back in. Paste. Just take a look at the file and just make sure that everything is all okay. Really, you don't need to make any changes. The default should be fine. So just go ahead and exit out. Next up, we want to configure caddy, and this step is really important because here we're going to be telling caddy and Docker where to exactly point the n8n instance, like what the domain name should be. So to do that, let's go ahead and copy this command, which is going to open the caddy file. Come back to the terminal, paste, and you'll see that we have n8n.domain.suffix. Let's go ahead and change that. I'm just going to change that to what I had set up earlier. Make sure it's the same as what you did in the env file. So n8n.shabirnoor.com, and make sure that there is a space in between. This space is very important. I was once installing another instance, and I got stuck for so many hours you would not believe, because I had stuck this curly brace to the end of this M instead of leaving a space in between. Leave everything else the same. Just go ahead and hit Command O to save, write the file, enter, and Command X to. So that is all the setup that you need to do, aside from pointing your n8n subdomain to the IP address, which we'll do next. Before that, let's go ahead and boot everything up, and then I'll show you how we can point the domain. So this is the last command that you need. Just hit copy, go back into the terminal, paste, and enter your password. And if everything has been set up correctly, all of these processes are going to take their time and complete. And if everything is complete, you know that n8n has been successfully installed onto your DigitalOcean droplet. This one last thing remains. Let's just go ahead and wait for that to complete. Perfect. All done. Created, started, and started. So now our n8n instance has been successfully installed. Now let me go ahead into my domain name provider, and I'll show you the setting that you need to change there. So I'm using Namecheap. You can use whichever domain registrar that you work with. So let's go ahead and sign in. I'm just going to sign in. It may ask me for a security code. Oh, perfect. I didn't. All right. So here is my domain. So I'm going to go ahead into manage. And then I want to go to advanced DNS. And under advanced DNS, I need to add a new record. And this time it's going to be an A record. The host is going to be n8n, which we had set up earlier. And the IP address is the IP address of your DigitalOcean droplet. So let me go ahead and grab that. Okay, that's the IP address. Time to live, we can leave it as automatic. And let's just hit save. So that has created the A record. Now it takes 5 to 10 minutes for this to kind of propagate and reach the corridors of the internet. And you can check that by going to a really handy website called DNS Checker, dnschecker.org. Perfect. And then if we search for n8n.shabirnoor.com and hit search, we'll see whether or not the record has propagated or not. And you'll see that since I just hit save over here, it hasn't propagated anywhere. So I'm just going to have to wait for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, if not a little longer, for all of this to propagate. And then once that's done, we can go back and browse directly to n8n.shabirnoor.com or whatever your domain is, and that should open up n8n in your browser. So while we're waiting for that to happen, let's just go back into the documents. There's a couple of other things that you should know now that you're running n8n on DigitalOcean. And the first one is to stop n8n and caddy. Now, occasionally what can happen is that if you run an n8n workflow in such a way that it gets stuck in a loop, and your n8n freezes. If you're using n8n Cloud, they have a feature where that automatically restarts your n8n instance, and within 2 to 5 minutes, you can just open it up again. But since you're going to self-host on DigitalOcean, this is going to spike up your data usage and your bandwidth usage. And not only that, but it's also going to freeze your n8n if you screw up a workflow in such a way. So there's two ways to fix that. One is you can log into DigitalOcean, go to your droplet and manually turn the droplet off, turn the droplet back on, and then just make sure to log in and run this command again, sudo docker compose up-d. Alternatively, you can log into your command line and then hit sudo docker compose stop. And what this is going to do is it's going to manually halt the execution of that n8n instance. And then all you have to do is just start it one more time. So just run sudo docker compose up-d. It's going to start everything up. And once you have that started message again, you have effectively restarted your n8n instance, and everything should be working fine again after that. So I ran the DNS check again. This is maybe another 1 minute after I tried it the first time. And you'll see that it has indeed started to propagate somewhere. So I went ahead and I browsed over to the n8n URL, as you can see up here. And then that brings me to the setup screen. So I am in my own domain, n8n.mydomain.com. And I'm presented with this screen where I can go ahead and set up my owner account. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And perfect. If I hit next, that is going to complete the setup, and in less than 20 minutes, we have successfully installed and set up n8n on DigitalOcean. If you found this tutorial useful, I'd really appreciate it if you could give this video a like, and do remember to subscribe to the channel for more AI and automation content. And if you want to hire me to build AI automations for your business or for your professional practice, just go ahead and click on the link in the description and let's talk.